There is a house in New Orleans they call the rising sun, and it's been the ruin of many poor boy. In God I know I'm one.
Alright, so now I wanted to talk to you today, the 144,000, or those protected by God, selected. I'd like to talk to you a little more about the strategy for sabotaging Satan. So first, I want to lay out the classes of people that we have in this world. We have our angels, we have our demons, and we have the 144,000. So then we also have God. God is a part of everything. So as for these 144,000 that are protected and sealed, and actually this is laid out right here in the book of Revelations. That's a good key of mine to understanding the wisdom. But this comes from a different philosophy, but I'm going to go over some of the things that I've been working on. I start out with this 12 and 10 rule. So that's what I would advise you to do. Not only do you have to revere God, or think highly of Him, fast, you should meditate, but you should also follow these 12. You should fight against these 12 tormentors. You see, inside this world, there are these 12 giants, or constellations, as I would put them. But these are just analogies for these 12 tormentive entities that just bathe down all this, all these evil, onto the earth. And once you rise above all of this suffering, that's when you obtain these 10 powers of God. So first, I'm going to lay out these 12 tormentors. Number 1, ignorance. Number 2, sorrow. Number 3, intemperance. Number 4, lust. Number 5, injustice. And just for all of you to know, number 5, injustice. That's one of the Achilles heels of the Leo the lion, that I've actually noticed. If you don't notice, like, look at my story. My whole life has been a catastrophe. Sure, a lot of you may think I've made stupid mistakes, and it was my fault because I'm just this stupid person that kept breaking the law. But it seems to me almost like, I'm going to give you this analogy with the Terminator movie. You remember how the Terminator came from like a distant place and time, and it wanted to just throw like an obstacle towards humanity so that we couldn't ever progress or move forward. Well, if you think about it, really the Bible is the same thing. Like the Israelites are thrown these stumbling blocks, and we have to overcome them. So once you obtain this spiritual perfection, or the 7th level of enlightenment, the gold, whatever you want to call it, you're going to have to defeat all of these tormentors. But I've noticed, like, justice. I seem to see justice in my life now that I've actually enlightened myself and obtained this gold, these seven levels of enlightenment that I talk about in this book, One with God. This is my first book, and what's really cool is that I kept seeing this 1111 number when I first started my spiritual progress, my spiritual path. But it was really interesting because later down the road I realized what this 11:11 meant. Go look at Revelations 11:11 and you'll see what I mean. But anyways, number 5, injustice. Number 6, greed. That's really the Achilles heel of the Virgo. Deceit is number 7. Number 8, envy. Number 9, treachery. Number 10, anger. Number 11, recklessness, and that's for the Aquarian out there. They tend to be a little reckless, at least the ones that are part of the 144,000. I mean, that's my theory, that the 144,000 that are casted down into this earth are the ones that are thrown these obstacles. And that is why some people will say, I don't experience, injustice, and I'm a Leo, sure, because maybe you're not one of the 144,000. Those that are selected by God to be protected, those, and if you remember, like even when they went back to like slay the third of men and the other third of men and so forth in the Revelations, these people were saved. God made the message explicit: do not destroy or hurt the 144,000. So it's my opinion there's 144,001. This one that awakens this morning star seed that just keeps being cast over and over and over. But that's my morning star in my opinion. And I was here to act as the shepherd to man. That's why I received this pink sheepskin coat. But anyways, yeah, so we did 9 is treachery, and that's, like, if you notice, like every day we see this backwards society where everybody in society is trying to betray everybody. It's like you move into an apartment, it's like 2 or 3 neighbors are, they're trying to betray you. Like Judas, he was the 13th apostle, and what was he trying to do? He was trying to betray everybody. That's what I'm saying. Us, God's people, the Israelites, have, these constant obstacles thrown in our path. So that's why you have to just overcome them. And when you make it all the way through this work, this spiritual work, you'll find these 10 powers of God. And that's what I'm going to get to right now. The last 3 powers are interesting because I'll tell you more about that in a minute. But anyways, number 1, knowledge of God. Number 2, knowledge of joy. We have to, experience joy in God's word, in our own work. Self-control. Self-control is really a big one, because if you're really tied down to drugs and alcohol and different anger and different tormentors, if you just fasten onto them and just don't let go of these tormentors, you can't find the 10 powers of God. But you must do this work. Okay, so then there's self-control is an important one. And 4 is steadfastness. That's a super important one for me, because when I was, quitting some bad habits, I would tend to just stop thinking about it by growing steadfast in one, good work for God, for instance. Or, at first it was a business, whatever you can do to just keep your mind off of these 12 tormentors. Stop. The sorrow is an important one too, number 2, because that's what the devil does. He tries to make you feel sorry for him, so you help him out, so you get lured into this evil plot of his to become just totally ungodlike. So number 5 is justice. Once you step through all these steps of enlightenment, you'll find that you have justice. So all in the previous part of your life, you were just facing all this trouble and all this injustice, but now everything's changing. Now you're going to receive justice, and you'll find that in this, after the 5th rung of the enlightenment, you're going to feel invincible, because you're overcoming all these tormentors. You're overpowering them. It's like Salem, or not Salem, but King Solomon. He defeated the 72 demons, and he put them in a brass vessel, and he shipped them across seas. That's because he beat the 72 demons. I'm sure these 12 tormentors, break down into different paths too. But there's also 10 is anger, 11 is recklessness, and 12 is malice. I forgot that one. But these are the main categories of the evil we have to avoid. And as far as the 10 powers of God, number 6 is generosity. That's the antidote for greed for the Virgo, by the way. And 7 is truth. So the liars, the deceivers, yeah, like we really gotta, try to tell the truth. I mean, I know sometimes we gotta fight fire with fire, and since Satan casts so many obstacles in front of us, we sometimes have to realize we have to look down we have to read between the lines, and we have to realize like what Satan is trying to do. So yeah, we just have to uncover it. Like, intemperance, for example, that's the Gemini. The Gemini, I've known a couple Geminis, and they were both really intemperate. They were hot-headed. If they didn't get you moving or getting you doing something right away, they got all bent out of shape. So yeah, so then we got, so 7 is the truth, and then we got the final 3, or these are the 3 I've actually noticed like real live variables in my environment that I'm seeing that prove that I've found this last 3. Like you'll see triples in your environment. You'll see your bank statement. You'll pull up your bank account and it'll say 555, .12. You'll see these really crazy numbers all the time. But with the 1111, that's what I first saw. So yeah, so life and light are the 9 and the 10. Once you obtain the supreme good, the life and the light, they come together. Life and light and supreme good. These must be obtained to conquer, for instance, envy and treachery. So yeah, once you obtain these, once you do the steps, just read, study, research. I started with the Emerald Tablets. I started researching the giants. I did all kinds of stuff, but there's some really, blow your mind kind of stuff in the Bible. I'm going to go through here though, and I'm going to read to you the 11th chapter of Revelations, and this is going to kind of blow your mind, because this is really what I first started seeing. I started seeing, yeah, and then there was given me a reed like a staff, one saying, "Rise and measure the temple of God and the altar, and those worshiping therein in the court which is without the temple." Okay, this is 11:1. I'm sorry, let me skip down to 11:11. I think it was 11. Okay, 11:10. And then those who dwell on the earth rejoice over them. So anyways, yeah, so my 2 witnesses shall prophesy 1,260 days clothed in sackcloth. These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks that stand before the Lord of the earth. And if anyone wishes to injure them, fire issues out of their mouth and devours their enemies. And if anyone wishes to injure them, he must in his manner be slain. These have authority to shut down heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy. And they have authority over waters to turn them into blood, and to smite the earth with every plague, as often as they may wish. 7. And when they finish their testimony, the beast that comes up out of the abyss will make war with them, and overcome them, and kill them, and their corpses will lie on the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where their Lord also was crucified. And some of the peoples and tribes and tongues and nations look upon their corpses 3 days and a half, and they suffer not their corpses to be put into a tomb. And those who dwell on the earth rejoice over them, and make merry, and they will send gifts one to another, because these 2 prophets tormented those dwelling on the earth. And after the 3 days and a half, the Spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood their ground upon their feet, and great fear fell on those who beheld them. And they heard a great voice out of heaven saying to them, "Come up hither." And they went up to heaven in the cloud, and their enemies beheld them. And in that hour there was great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell, and there were killed in the earthquake 7,000 persons, and the rest became terrified and gave glory to the God of heaven. Okay, so now you get the point. So once you progress through all these levels of enlightenment, you're going to find that this is what happens. Like, you know, you'll just find that you just become this powerful and invincible entity that no one can stop. It's because no door can be closed if you're doing God's work. And that's why I say to you, you know, start this spiritual work, because you'll find that you're invincible. It's just in the programming. Once you're set, once you make these 10 powers, God just makes you invincible to the world. It's because, remember, it's all illusion, it's all mind. So any little detail can be changed just really easily. So for all of you thinking that COVID-19 is some fluke of nature, it's really not. This is all religious. So in this chapter right here just proves it. 11:11. Look what we're seeing. So once I've actually walked in sackcloth for 1260 days, this is going to happen. I'll prophecy for 1260 days, and after the 1260 days, the beast will make war with me. And at that point, I'm going to rise up to heaven. So you see how this goes? This works like this for everybody. Like, everybody has their own God plan, you know, their own God copy that, you know, is programmed, you know, in advance. So we know that, you know, God knows who's going to rise to heaven and who's not. But, you know what's in your cards. Just, you know, just look inside, meditate. Don't look outside, look inside. But this is my message for the 144,000. Thanks for watching this, and like it. I'm looking forward to talking to you soon. And you have a good evening. Thank you.
My mother was a tailor, she sewed my blue jeans. My father was a gambling man down in New Orleans.